Hey guys, welcome back to Enlightened. It's your host Kev here. So I'm just going to do a quick introductory video. What I'm going to do is, after I finish talking here, we're going to roll into the footage that I took when I was in Ibiza. To be honest, a lot of the footage that I took, it actually didn't turn out too well. And there was a number of things that I actually missed out on, which I regret now. But you know, it's gone. But I do need to clear up some space on my phone, so I'm gonna get all the content together, put it together into a little bundle, and just share it for you guys. If you're interested in it, cool. If not, don't worry about it. It's just more a little walk around Ibiza. There was a couple of places that I went to, which was an ancient cemetery, which was allegedly a Phoenician cemetery in antiquity, and then moved forward. And then we went and took a look at the castle and took a walk around the citadel of the castle and stuff. And I've got quite a lot of photographs that I took from the museum, which they'll probably come into play later on. I just wanted to get them on, take photographs. So I won't bother sharing all them right now. And like I say, unfortunately there was a lot of stuff in there that I didn't manage to capture, which I actually wanted to. I blame the alcohol for that. And I know I said something similar in the last video. Don't worry, I'm not an alcoholic. But when in Rome, or when in Ibiza. So, I say, this isn't going to be a long introduction, hopefully. I just wanted to say though, like I mentioned in the last video, we had this book from Lawrence Waddell. Well, I also have this book, which we've done some readings from in the past, excuse me. And I do plan on going back over these. Because we talked about, like, Waddell believes that, well, if I just open this up to that page I've just been on, and I will put a photograph on the screen, which is this, and like I say, the photograph will probably be on the screen now anyway. Now, as you can see, at the top of the screen, at the top of the page, it says the Phoenician origins of the Britons and the Scots. Well, there's so many different crosses here, so many different forms, whether they're elongated, circular, sun crosses. There's a lot going on here. But if you look, the first amount of crosses are Sumerian, and then just below that you have the Hittite or the Kati. Which, what's interesting about that is, I hadn't seen anyone else up until I seen Lawrence Waddell discuss the Hittites as the Kati. Now, there's a lot of different. We could talk about that, and we probably will do in the future, but that's not the focus here. And any work I have seen coming off the back of that generally seems to be a plagiarization of Waddell's work. But then we move down and you have the Kasi, or the Kasi, which is another compression of two cultures potentially. And then the final one is we have Trojan, Egyptian, and Phoenician. Now, that's three cultures coming together there. Obviously, you had the Trojans. If we were to take a quick look at the official story, if you will, you've got Anatolia, you've got the Trojans here, and then what you'd have the Hittites east of Troy, of Hisarlik, which is over, like say, in the northeast of the Aegean, and then you had the Phoenicians, who apparently crest along the bottom of the Aegean Sea, around some of the island chains and things like that, round into Cyprus and on the Levant area, but also all the way back across the Mediterranean. And that's where the Balearic Islands come into it, Ibiza, stuff like that. Like I say, the Phoenician cemetery that we'll be taking a look at in a couple of moments. And once you go all the way back, then you have Egypt allegedly in the middle, but then you have Britain over on the west. Now, I'll close that book and leave that there. Like I say, we are going to be doing some readings on this, but one of the fascinating things is, if you come back to this book, which we've done some readings out of in the last week, which is Iman Wilkins, he discusses I can't even remember whereabouts in the book it is, but basically he discusses Normandy in France being Egypt. Now, I know that sounds way out there, because it really does, especially when you look through the lens of modern archaeology. But if you look at the recent video I did, which is called the chronological tomfoolery of Egypt, you see how there's a compression and stretching out of certain potteries, dates, times. I also put a couple of other clips in that video, which is referencing to the Bedouins of Egypt at the time, going back around 150 years or so, who were able to move large blocks, which was kind of indicative of a culture that had only recently been moving large blocks. And then you tie that into, as you say, like the Prophet Muhammad, who discusses Egypt being torn down and rebuilt. And then you've got like the whole Napoleon Bonaparte, he goes into Egypt. And if Normandy was Egypt, could we have seen a transference of culture from Normandy to ancient Egypt? I mean, I wouldn't state that. I wouldn't make that claim. But what's interesting is that there's bones of an argument that can be made for that. But like I say, that's why this book that I mentioned in that last video could be quite important once I manage to get through it and really digest the information. Unfortunately, you can read these books and it might take several weeks before the information fully digests and you start doing the subliminal connecting of the dots and things like that to other stuff that you've learned. But that's something that will be coming down the pipeline. And I'm also looking into, Marshall made reference in the last video in the comment section to a Richard W. Morgan, who had a lot to say seemingly about the ancient British culture. So I'm interested to get my teeth into that and see where that goes. And I've also got a number of other books that came quite recently, more to do with the Neolithic, which Peter put me onto one of those books, so thanks for that, Peter. As soon as I opened it, funny enough, I've made reference in a previous video, oh sorry, this is an 8-minute introduction nearly, apologies. I made in a previous video references to the Ankh and the symbol of life potentially being a sun cross and a couple of other bits and bobs. And that book, Peter, as soon as I opened it, the first page that I looked at, it had a Celtic cross, medieval cross, which is basically the Jesus type cross, you know, that a lot of people wear on the chains and stuff like that. And then you had the Ankh, or the Egyptian cross, and it goes into discuss how they were solar crosses. So it's amazing that I'm only quite fresh to this journey. I've only been really going into history for like a year or so now, a year and a half maybe. Before that, if you check the content on my channel, you know, I was into all kinds of stuff. I was just trying to find my feet really, and obviously I found my passion, which is obviously history. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to getting into really, is the crosses, the sun crosses. And as you've just seen, that image that I put from Waddle's book, there's so many different variations of the cross, and they are connected to certain things and certain peoples at certain times. So we will be looking into that. But like I say, sorry about this long introduction. The video clips that are going to be coming now, like I say, I wish I'd have took more and took my time a little bit to really like delve into this whole Phoenician thing in Ibiza. But when I got over there, I assumed there was going to be a lot more stuff to check out, but there wasn't actually that much stuff. There was an old quarry that I was going to go and check out, and I can put some photographs from online like right into this video without actually going there. And when I read up on a couple of other little bits, there was like a Phoenician settlement potentially, and when I looked at the images online, to be honest with you, it didn't even look that ancient, and it was very uniform. So I thought it's not even worth going to check out, to be honest. Yeah, just enjoy the clips, because there's, like I say, especially the ones where I'm walking around the citadel and that, just take it in. It's a nice little view, little change of pace. And yeah, to be honest, this is quite a long video. It's 10 minutes long now, so I don't know whether to just leave this separate and do a follow-on video with all them clips in. But if I do, like I say, just check it out. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not really too fussed. It's just, I needed to clear space on my phone, and I wish I'd have done a better job, to be fair, with that video clips. But these are all the books that are going to be coming down the line really soon, along with an ever increasing wardrobe, bookshelf behind me. As you can see, the books are packed into the rafters, and I've got another bookcase downstairs that's well, it's full, it's peaked. One thing I will just say, you know what, I probably will do a separate video for that Ibiza video now, because this is definitely too long for an introduction. But I will just show you this real quick. I've got books underneath plants and everything at the minute. For starters, that's a cool book. I managed to get my hands on this. There's a little charity shop find. This is a Lord of the Rings illustrated edition. I think I paid, £1.99 I paid for that. I think that's about a £70 book, £50 book to buy online now. But I've got books like this, Geoffrey Ash of the British Isles. Now, I don't know if people are familiar with Geoffrey Ash. He is pretty mainstream, if I'm being honest. Excuse me, but where is it? There. That's the kind of books I used to be into. Zechariah Stitchin, you know, the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came, and all this kind of stuff. Which, to be honest, I never really fully believed it anyway, because I don't really fully believe anything that I can't physically test and stuff for myself. But that book, The 12th Planet, is it's a pretty interesting book. But this book here was I think this has turned into a bit of a library video, isn't it? But this book here is also from Geoffrey Ash. Now, this was the first historical book really that I purchased from a charity shop from Tuebrook, West Derby Road. There was at the box outside, and I just walked past and I picked it up, and I seen giants, Arthur, all this kind of stuff, and I didn't realise it was Geoffrey of Monmouth. My screen van just circulating. It was actually Geoffrey of Monmouth whose writing he was bouncing off in this book. So without realising, I was actually learning what some would say the true events of British history. So I actually have done readings out of that book. If you go and look at the Ancient British Dynasty series, which to be honest the videos weren't very good, I was still early doors then, which I might go through and do again because I could expand on them greatly now. These were interesting little stories in there, and he's got, like I say, a mainstream perspective that he bounces off that. Like Bladud, you've got Bladud here, so he'd give you the Geoffrey of Monmouth account, and then he'd go through and start adding his own interpretations. But I've actually just got, not long ago, the Historia Brittonum by Geoffrey of Monmouth, which I wouldn't mind doing some readings from. But I seem to go back. The history that we've been looking at on this channel is far older than Anglo-Saxon and Welsh disputes. You know, I'm interested in that period of history. Britain's Hidden History Uncensored is a group that I'm part of, where the past week, which was good for me because, like I say, I was a bit under the weather. There was a lot of discussions around the Belgae tribe coming from did they come from southeast England or did they come from northwest France? So that was interesting and I really enjoyed that. But say I'm building up a library of all this ancient British stuff, so eventually I can start putting like a bit of a story together on the British history that's not so ancient. But for now, the Bronze Age is where it's at for me, because unless we sort out the Bronze Age stuff, and even older really, the Chalcolithic, the Copper Age, and even before that, like I say, the Neolithic, the Mesolithic, these are prehistoric. These are the periods of time to which large movements in and out of Britain took place, but I don't know whether it was into Britain or out of Britain. And there's the whole Albine migration to the Brutus, but there seems to be more to the story, and I've got a few things I want to talk about, but I can't really discuss it too much yet because it's just ideas, and the more I cross-reference, the more I'll know. But yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Like I say, apologies, this was supposed to be an introductory video for the content that I recorded in Ibiza. Some of the clips you might have seen because I did put out one or two little videos while I was away there, and it turns out I didn't actually, like say, record that much. I thought I did, but I must not have pressed the record button or something like that. And it was really bright, so I was keeping my screen brightness down to save my battery, which it was just laziness and poor really. But like I say, just have a little, if you want to watch it, if you don't, but if you do, it's just to change of pace, some nice scenery, some interesting artifacts, and some nice things to look at. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, whatever. Peace.